So normally we would start these podcasts by giving a little intro, but I'm actually lost for words after that race. Pierre Gasly wins the Italian Grand Prix. I genuinely can't. We haven't scripted any of this. I can't really get my words out properly. I'm in shock, Johnny. What the hell just happened?
I'm just so happy. It was just that podium. Something different for once in however long. I love Formula One. I love it.
This is the thing I was having a conversation about, is that in football or any other sport, you get these small moments where, for example, you get an FA Cup upset where like a non-league team will beat a really big team, and that'll be great and that's amazing. But it ends there. Like, they have one game, they beat him, that's it, it's fine. They don't go on. You don't see Luton Town winning the Champions League, beating Barcelona 6-0. Like, this is, for me, Formula One, this just reminded me why we watch Formula One. And it's just unbelievable for Gasly, not for just one driver to be on the podium that we never expected. For the top three to be Gasly, Carlos Sainz and Stroll, and then Norris behind. Honestly, this is uncharted territory.
Unbelievable. Like, just all the events of this race, just this whole season, the events of this season, it's just it leading up to just one of the greatest seasons we've ever had. This has just been
that's a bold statement.
I mean, there's been some mad moments.
It is.
Like,
I agree with
Austrian
you.
Grand Prix,
It's a big statement. I agree with you.
It's just, yeah, it's like they've improvised and everything, because we don't even know if this is a full calendar now. Like, they're still adding races the whole time. But that's like, I want them to keep adding. Go 30 races, 40 races, keep the season going. Don't end it. This has been too good.
We were talking about this before we started. We have actually got so much information to cram in. Not only have we got one of the maddest races in F1 history, but there's been so much off-track news, obviously with Renault recently changing their name, Turkish Grand Prix coming back, all these different scenarios come into play. But I think we addressed the Grand Prix that we just witnessed first before I forget, because so much stuff went on in the race. I can't believe what happened. But if we go back to the start of the race, it looked a very orthodox Hamilton 40-second victory, and obviously Bottas dropping back was a little bit of a surprise. But no one saw this result coming.
No, it was literally until, Leclerc had his crash in the 23rd lap or something.
That was a pretty shocking crash.
That was a big crash. That was scary seeing it, because the cameras cut to it just as he hit into the barriers, and it looked terrifying. And it's like, thank God he's alright. But no, yeah, the race was just it was sad. The good start was alright. Obviously, Bottas fell back, and it wasn't look like he was gonna just get easily back way through. Lewis was getting away, leading the pack easily, but everything else was just sort of, there was good battles going on, but nothing too exciting until that crash, and then
it was a hefty crash. But I didn't know. I don't think anybody knew at the time whether it was a similar problem that Vettel had when he had a brake failure into turn one. That was pretty scary. I didn't know whether Leclerc had the same problem, but it just looked like he lost it a little bit and went a parabolic straight into the wall.
Yeah, it seems like it. Definitely at first it looked like the same problem Vettel had, but then they showed more replays, and it kind of just shows him just losing the back end, and he's just trying to correct, can't get it, just goes straight on.
And had that not happened, can we imagine the race if that didn't happen?
I mean, it completely changed everything. That was if it hadn't happened, it still would have just been a plain easy Mercedes win. Lewis getting more points, run away with the championship. We don't get Pierre Gasly winning his first ever Grand Prix. Simple as that.
I can't believe we're sat here talking about Gasly winning. Wow. And this is a confusing thing for me. Someone in the comments will correct me, because we famously have some people that like to correct us. But Stroll, I didn't think that he pitted before the red flag. Did he change his tyres under that red flag period?
Yes, because that was the thing. He didn't pit, and then it's like, what are the rules then with that? But apparently they're not really allowed to do anything except change tyres, so he got a free pit, and that's what set him up. So I think that's why. I think that the bets at that time would have been on him winning it, but well,
because he was in front of Gasly, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was in front. He was second, basically first, because Lewis had that 10-second stop and go. He was basically in first, but straight away from the restart, Gasly just went, boom, he just went straight, and then who was it? Who else was there? There's two other drivers.
Kimi was there, yeah. I was hoping that we were going to see Kimi sneak a podium, but it wasn't to be. He dropped back way. I think he actually dropped out of the points in the end. He finished in 13th place, so he dropped from third or net second to 13th. Obviously, Giovinazzi got the same incident that Hamilton had with the. That was probably what made this race exciting. Obviously, straight after Leclerc's had his accident, parabolic of that long right-hander. No one, well, especially the two drivers in question, Giovinazzi and Hamilton, didn't see the pit lane, the big red cross on the lights on the outer side of the track, which I thought was a little bit of a strange place to put them. I understand why that is. You can't really put them on the inside, I guess, and then probably should have been a light on the pit lane entry.
Yeah.
So, and like obviously Hamilton and Giovinazzi would have had their teams telling them to box. So, do you trust the lights? I don't even think Lewis saw the light, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm the same mindset as you. I think it was kind of weird placing, but also makes sense because, like, usually if it's just like going at normal speed, they're on the outside of that corner, so that's where they'd be seeing those boards. But yeah, like Lewis said that he didn't see them, so he put the blame on himself. But surely the guys on the wall would have had a message somewhere saying it's closed, like the pits are closed.
I think it happened very quickly, and they just didn't have time to react. But ultimately, that Leclerc incident triggered a number of events, and that was the main event of Hamilton getting a 10-second stop-go, which I think, from memory, is the harshest penalty you can give in racing terms, apart from like a minute penalty or something, which I don't think they give out anymore. But I'm pretty sure a 10-second stop-go is, because that was a net loss of about 30 seconds or something for Hamilton.
Yeah, for how quick the cars are now, like losing 30 seconds is huge. So, yeah, I think you're right in saying that's the harshest, and it kind of like rightfully so because you can't do that. You can't go into the pits when it's closed. It's close. You can't.
Tell you what, actually, that reminds me. Do you remember 2007 Canada, I believe, or 2008 Canada? It was Hamilton run into the back of Raikkonen, I think. Or someone like that. I can't. I think it's a little bit blurry because I wasn't too familiar with the sport when I was about 8 or 9 years old. But yeah, I remember that being that's the only incident I can think of that happening.
Doesn't he? I think. Is he go into Raikkonen or does he go into Rosberg and then Raikkonen runs into the back of him?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, because somebody was stopped at the red light at the end of the pit lane.
Yeah, and then Lewis just didn't see it and just went into him. That was like 2008 or 9.
I think it was 2007.
7? I thought it was like after his first championship when he started becoming a bit more clumsy, and it was like,
If you're listening in the comments and you know when this was, maybe you were there. Drop us a comment and let us know, and we'll pin it to the top because we're having a debate. But yeah, that's the only situation I can think of. But yeah, back to the race. After that restart, we should mention about the stat that we were talking about. That was the first race to have 2 grid starts since Belgium 2001. And I said to you, as soon as the red flag came out, I was like, this is unbelievable. They're going to do a grid start. This rule came in like 5 years ago. They haven't had a chance to implement it yet. And they finally did a grid start after a red flag, because normally that would have been a safety car restart, right?
Yeah, I think so, because I'm trying to remember from Baku 2017 when they had that red flag in the race.
Yeah.
I think that was just a behind safety car start.
Are you going to add anything to that, or are we going to let the silence roll in?
I kind of got distracted by the talking about the US Open with golf. I'm sorry.
There was sports switch up there. Unbiased golf podcast.
Really not on it today. Oh, jeez. Oh.
Anyway, I'm looking at pictures of Carlos Sainz. How
Oh yeah,
gutted must he be for second place?
he wanted that win. He came over the radio and said like he wanted that win to his race engineer, who was just like like go for it, but like sort of take it easy as well. And he was like, "Nah, I want this win." So yeah, he'll be. He would have wanted a win to go to Ferrari with, obviously, especially with the way that Ferrari's looking. He's gonna be like, come on, give me something. But,
Do you think that's a winner's mentality from Sainz when they came over the radio and he was like, Carlos, this second place, this is unbelievable. Like, don't throw it away. And he was like, I want this win. Does that show why Ferrari have picked him up? And another point, is that the last chance that he's going to get to win a race for the next season?
I mean, to that latter point, we have no idea. Like we have like there's been some crazy races. There's no way of predicting anything that's going on for this season. Like any race can suddenly turn into something like this again. But yeah, I think definitely that's a big reason why Ferrari won. They want drivers with that sort of mentality, and Charles was showing that last year. That's why they want. That's why they took him straight from Alfa in his first year, and he showed that mentality by winning 2 or 3 races last year. And with Carlos like that, having this mentality as well, he probably gets it from his dad, being this rally driver, isn't he? Rally world champion.
He is,
Carlos Sainz Senior. He gets it from him. So it makes sense that Ferrari want to go for someone like him. I think that was the point I was making.
Yeah. In terms of other people that we haven't mentioned who had a slightly quiet, I wouldn't say quiet, but he was in the thick of it, but he didn't really get much attention, was Lando. He was there or thereabouts for the whole race.
Yeah.
He must be feeling a little bit gutted. He's just missed out on that podium, just behind Stroll. Obviously, seeing his teammate get another podium. Am I right in saying I had a little bit of confusion earlier that this is McLaren's second podium this year, or have they both had a podium this year? I think it's just one podium, haven't they, this year?
I think because Lando got that third place in the first race of the season in Austria, so I think they both have one each now. But
yeah, Carlos's podium was in Brazil last year, wasn't it? And he hasn't had one since until today.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. I feel like I can see one of the other races with him up there, but then I also feel like every race other than that first Austria and this one has just been Lewis, Bottas, Verstappen in one of those 2 orders.
Yeah.
3 orders. 3 drivers. One order.
Yeah. I just feel like deep down sorry for him and Carlos, because on paper it's such a weird scenario. You'll feel gutted if you're gutted with a second and fourth as McLaren. Something's got to have given in the race. Like they could have won. I'm struggling to get my words together, but you get what I'm trying to say. Next point,
I'm struggling to understand. So
you go.
I think because they were saying Lando was literally saying with qualifying yesterday that he was disappointed with his lap, but it was still a 6th place lap or wherever he started, and he shouldn't be like this. And like that's saying a lot for how McLaren have been doing over the past couple years, 5 years. It's like so they're a team that knows their worth now. They know they're one of those good teams again, and obviously showing it today with a 2nd and 4th, but then it's still having 2 drivers who are saying they could have got more. They know they could have got more, so they're a bit disappointed with it.
Yeah. In terms of Valtteri Bottas, what are we thinking? Because he only finished a few seconds ahead of his teammate, who obviously had that 30-second net loss from the stop go penalty and coming in. Where does he go from here? Yes, we know he had a little bit of damage. Was it purely that damage that was holding him back, or did he just completely suck in the dirty air of the cars in front, remembering that car is not designed to follow others?
Yeah, I feel like that could have played a part, but the fact that Lewis did manage to get all the way through doesn't really help Bottas with trying to use that as his argument for it. Where does he go from here? He goes to Russia and probably gets his one win, one extra win of the season, and not win another race. And then honestly, I'm actually feeling like Mercedes must be losing faith in him, because he's not really giving a proper push to Lewis like he was, like it looked like at the very start of the season, and so last season as well. So I don't know. they probably won't get rid of him after this year, but it's not really looking like he can be the guy, especially when Lewis leaves as well, and he becomes Bottas. If Bottas stays, he's then the senior driver. If they then promote someone like George Russell up, which could be a big jump, but still possible. I just don't see him being, that guy then for Mercedes, the lead driver.
Mm. It's interesting because he's obviously got that deal as well, hasn't he, for next season already? So where does that leave him? Is that there must be something in his contract that if he's out of contention for a championship, or it looks unlikely, that he has to favour Lewis like he's done in the past, surely.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one because they scored him. They scored him real early. I completely forgot that they already done that. I don't think they'll be regretting it at all. But there must be some sort of clause in it, like especially for this point where Lewis has run away with the championship, where they're just like, don't push him or anything. Just go. You just try to get second place because you're fighting Max more than you're fighting Lewis at this point. So I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with him.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? In terms of Renault as well, we had them hyped up a little bit after Spa, which, by the way, we apologise for not having a podcast. Lots of stuff happened. We couldn't make it happen, but we're back anyway. Renault.
I apologise. That was a dead race.
It was a pretty shocking race, let's be honest. And coming into this weekend, I was thinking, surely we need something to spice it up so we can have a good podcast, which we have, luckily. In terms of Renault, people were hyping them up because they were so fast on the straights at Spa. It looked like they were going to have a really, really good race after so decent qualifying yesterday. They finished 6th and 8th. Will they be scratching their heads a little bit as to how they were a little bit behind the McLarens and Alpha Tauri? Tauri winning.
I think part of that goes down to like the red flag, because obviously everyone pitted, but they all pit under the safety car, and then they red flagged it, so that kind of messed up a lot of the strategies for the guys like Ricciardo and Ocon. I don't know. I thought because towards the end it looked like Bottas backed off, and Ricciardo could then get Bottas and then get Norris as well because they weren't too far away. But then that then disappeared just as quickly as it came. So I don't know. They've been looking strong. I still have Ricciardo as one of the better drivers of the season. Like, I haven't seen the Formula One power rankings, but I feel like he must be up there around third or fourth place because he's been strong, especially in the last couple races. But yeah, Renault, I think they're still going from strength to strength. Still, like I've been saying for the past couple of years, I think they're still working towards that rule change as well, and I think they'll be in a position where they're one of the lead cars when that happens, when that comes through. But I mean Ricciardo as well, just on him, he's putting his all for Renault when he doesn't need to be because he's leaving them this season, but he's putting it all to get them as many points as they can and battling his future team and his future teammate. And I think that just shows how good a competitor he is and how much he deserves to be in one of the top cars, like he used to be with Red Bull. And he is a race winner. He's got multiple race wins, and he can be someone with the right car who could genuinely push for a title, I think.
It's a tale of two woes, isn't it, really? Ricciardo leaving Renault, who's seemingly picking up Sainz, leaving McLaren for Ferrari, who have obviously dropped off. I think Ricciardo's made a very shrewd business decision to join McLaren next year, and Sainz he'll be regretting his mistake.
Hugely, for sure. And Ricciardo just be there every single time doing the little dances as well. Always starts with his trainer.
Yeah. I just want to say one more time about Pierre Gasly. I know obviously there's going to be lots of attention around him. Lots of people are going to be jumping on the hype train. I met Pierre Gasly one time. I was lucky enough to film with him and do some really cool stuff. And when I met Pierre, we were in a room with other F1 drivers, with Vettel. I think David Coulthard was there, Mick Schumacher, loads. I could go on. I don't want to bore you, but I was really lucky to be there. And I met Pierre, and he came up to me and he was like, "Hi, I'm Pierre," and went to shake my hand before COVID. And I was I was a little bit taken aback by the way he was so humble and how he introduced himself. That to me said a lot. that he was not too big for his boots. Like he was very much, even though I knew him, obviously I knew who he was and I knew so much about him. He still came up to me and made an effort of being like, "Hi, I'm Pierre," which I thought was really cool.
He comes across as that sort of guy, like real humble, down to earth. Like, he just seems the sort of guy. I don't know if that's just like how he's grown up or something, or just his age. But yeah, he just seems like such a cool guy.
And he's had a personally, on and off the track, he's had a really tough, 18 months. Obviously, on track with being promoted, the joy of being promoted to Red Bull, and then it not working out, and him coming back to Toro Rosso, and now AlphaTauri, and then obviously what happened with Antoine Hubert last year, one of his very best friends, and now him, getting a podium, and now him winning. Like, this just shows that a roller coaster of emotions in Formula One is unlike anything else. I think any other sport, nothing comes close.
Oh yeah, no, Formula One could be something else. Such one of those things that, where it comes in, people don't see Formula One drivers as athletes. It's such a draining thing to be a Formula One driver, especially in like a race like this where it's so hot. It's so draining being in that car that you hear Lewis when he comes over the radios and he's just out of breath. So not only is it physically draining for these guys, it's so mentally as well, for everything they have to go through, and especially for him. And you saw him earlier from the on the podium. Stroll and Carlos had left, everyone else had gone. He was just still sat there on the podium, just kind of taking it all in, probably just thinking about this journey to that point.
He must be thinking of all the sacrifices he's made and everything that's happened in the last 18 months. I sat there and I turned to my dad and I was like, this is why you never give up. Like, anything, it's cringy, it is a bit cheesy, but like, who would have thought him going, from Super Formula in Japan, I think like 2 or 3 years ago, to sort of being in the Toro Rosso team, and then Red Bull, and then back to AlphaTauri, and then podium, and winning. It's just unbelievable. Let us know in the comments what your views are on Gasly, because I'm sure I've read some really nice things about him recently, and I'm sure it'll come out and he'll be bigged up. But it'll be interesting to see if anyone else has got any stories of Gasly. But yeah, I think we're missing quite a big moment of this weekend. We haven't spoken about it yet, more off track. The Williams team were obviously secured by Dorilton Capital, an investment firm. That was a while ago, wasn't it? That was a few months ago. Yeah. And it was announced this weekend that Claire Williams, Frank Williams, obviously who own the team and run the team as a family business, they'll be taking a step back after this weekend, which I thought was extremely fast. 2 questions. What was your favourite Williams memory? And secondly, what is this going to mean for Williams going forward? They've said that they're going to leave the name in the sport, but is that going to be the case, do you think, in 5-10 years' time?
I don't know, like, Sir Frank he's a legend of the sport. He like, for a guy that never raced, he's just the impact he's left on Formula One. Like, not left as in like he's gone, but he's gone from the sport now. But I don't think they'll change it. Like, I don't think they'll completely change it. I think Williams will, I don't want to say always be in the name, but I feel like out of respect, it should stay something Williams or Williams something. In terms of favourite moment, that's a tough one. I mean, I'm thinking more, not too recent, but just the battles when Bottas and Massa, when they were just like a surprising third best team. I loved that. When Formula One was at that stage, I was loving that. Watching them then, that was like one of the best looking Williams, I think, in more recent times. And just seeing them two, Massa especially, for everything he had gone through, go with the whole Ferrari crash, going out, like being away for so long, and then coming back and then being put in a position with this Williams that was getting results. That for me was a good time. That's a good memory for me.
I agree. I also think if we go back years and years, you look at the Mansell Championships, the Damon Hill, the lump in my throat quote from Murray Walker, And then you look more recently when Pastor Maldonado, of all drivers, held off Alonso in a Ferrari at Spain to take Williams's most recent win, I believe, or last win in F1 in 2012, I believe. That was the year when they had 7 different winners in the first 7 races.
Yeah, that was it, yeah. I forgot about that moment. Oh, God, that was good.
That was a
and
good
then
moment.
Him setting the garage alight afterwards in celebration.
Oh, yeah, the garage did catch fire afterwards, which I don't think was planned, but... yeah,
I mean, it's part of the celebrations. Williams, they go hard for it.
It was, speaking of Williams, the last coming across the line, Russell and Latifi came on and gave a little tribute message to the team. I thought that was quite nice. That was quite a nice moment, and it looked like Claire Williams was getting a little bit teary-eyed after how many years has she been in the sport? 25, 30 years.
She's basically been in it since she was a child. Probably, like, if she at this point she'd been there for so long, she probably would have been around for like ever since she was able to walk. Like, she loves it. You can see that she does, and she loves the team, and you know that she's made this decision because she feels like it's what's best for the team. And that's what hurts the most, because it does mean that Williams is stepping away. But I think I'd be making the same decision if you're not going in the right direction that you want your team to be, and you feel like there's someone who could do better. Then I'd sacrifice me for the betterment of the team, and I'd want to see them go on and be successful again.
I thought it was interesting as well how quickly that decision sort of came about, and they probably have been thinking about it since the takeover and the whole rocket, pulling out and all this. I thought it was quite interesting how after this weekend they're going to not relinquish their duties. I thought it would be the end of the season, but it just shows that they're maybe the end of this year they're going to be pushing and investing, and it's going to be fascinating to see who they get in. Are they going to bring a team principal in from internally, or are they going to look somewhere else and try and poach someone else, or are they going to go for someone that we've never heard of? Who knows?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do, yeah. I reckon it's a good idea to do it halfway through the season, because it gives that time for the new guy to come in and put some work in. Maybe not, like, if they make some big changes, some big jumps towards the end of the season, then that's great, but it's also more of a case of, rather than having to start and have a really busy off-season going into next season, he can have this season to get used to the team, like get it ready for next season, so that they can really focus on it next year as well, and just go for it from there. Like, start next season, maybe as it means to go on from at the end of this one, or completely new, and just come out with a whole new team and just already be pushing for points straight away.
Yeah, it's gonna let us know your favourite moment of Williams in the comments, and make sure whilst we're on the topic of leaving comments, we need to sort of grow our Instagram a little bit. I think we need to post a bit more, because we haven't. The only time we seem to post is it's when we've got a new podcast coming out, which is fine. But let us know if you've got any ideas. We briefly spoke about doing some kind of F1 2020 career or something like that. So if that's something of interest to people, let us know. If it's something not of interest, also let us know. Open to suggestions. But yeah, what race are we going to next? I'm just losing my mind a little bit here. We're going to another Italian race, right?
Yeah, Tuscan Grand Prix at Mugello. That is. So
Mugello, yeah. And that'll be, is that the Ferrari, like the Ferrari Grand Prix? I think the title of the Grand Prix is like the Ferrari. I can't remember what it's called now.
I feel like it's basically just Ferrari's testing ground, like that. That's what
it basically is, their test track, yeah. Which is going to be all the more embarrassing when they finish 14th and 15th.
Not going to be great, especially if they don't get through Q1 again. The Vettel. God, it's not be good.
It was
feel from though.
Yeah, speaking of qualifying, I actually enjoyed qualifying. I thought it was quite an enjoyable session actually yesterday.
Actually, racing. It felt like a race, like how it was, because obviously they didn't want to repeat of what happened last year, where loads of cars missed out, so they went out a lot earlier than before. But then they all just like really bunched up, and they were trying to overtake. Some still trying to go slowly, but want to stay behind a certain car. Others just want to go for it. It was just, it was so much fun.
And just the final rounding off of this podcast. I don't think we've been going for stupid amounts of time, only half an hour or so. The gap between Gasly and Sainz was 0.4 across the line. I reckon one more lap, Sainz would have had him into turn 1.
One more lap, I would have said, put the line about 100 metres down, and he would have been real close. That would have been like a photo finish.
That was unbelievable. I'm actually in shock. But if you've made it this far in the podcast, comment Gasly is the greatest of all time, and then we know that you've made it to the end. But I think that's it in terms of this race and everything. I think we've covered everything, don't you?
I think so. I feel like...
we may have missed out something.
I mean, probably just the usual. Magnussen's terrible.
We haven't mentioned Haas once. I'm really sorry, Gunther, if you're listening. What happened to Magnussen? He just retired, didn't he?
Yeah, I can't remember what. But I think he was the one that started the pit stops, wasn't he? That's what started the pit stops, and then afterwards, Leclerc was the red flag. Oh, God.
There was a safety car, and then... it was just a mess. It was a mess.
It was a beautiful mess.
A beautiful mess. That's the quote of this video, I think. A beautiful mess. But yeah, thank you for listening. If you've made it this far, really appreciate it. Make sure you comment down below your favourite moment of the race. If we've missed anything, and make sure you follow us on Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff. And we will see you soon for the next race in Mugello, which I don't know, is it next week or the week after?
I think it's next week.
Back to back in Italy. I think so.
Yeah, I think it's next week, and it's gonna be good. I can't remember much about Mugello, so
it's gonna be an interesting track. These cars on that track is gonna be fascinating.
It's gonna be quick,
very quick. But yeah, thanks for listening, everyone, and we look forward to speaking to you next time for the Mugello Grand Prix.